Yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Hi, welcome to Sports Unfolded, episode 2. I am Eric Teotonio, and this is
Ron Rigo.
So if you didn't watch last week, I suggest you watch episode 1 just to kind of get an idea what the show is. But we are a sports debate show. We will be debating most local teams, but we will also cover other sports as well and other sports teams. So just look out for us on Rhode Island Broadcasting. We will be on every Friday night at 6 p.m., new time, 6 p.m. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
But let's make sure that we're getting some participation from our fans, because that's what's important to us. We want to make sure what you think, who won the debates, and what topics you'd like us to cover and what teams you'd like us to cover. So we've got basically a leadoff story. We're going to talk about Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is recovering in an LA hospital after surgery on Tuesday following a single car accident. Earlier reports are that he had significant injuries to his right leg. I know they talked about several surgeries that he will need. I guess from a sports fan in a sports world, it's difficult to see. He's battled back injuries, knee injuries. I believe he's had already 10 surgeries.
Yeah, I believe that is correct. That's what they were saying on all the sports newscasts everywhere. And that might be just significant, surgeries. That might not be everything.
Yeah.
Too.
And again, we don't really know the extent because, again, they're talking about the legs now, and who knows if anything else. The left leg, we're still not sure of. If this could cause problems with his back again. The disappointing part of it, I think, is that we finally are starting to see, I guess one aspect of it is, again, it wasn't tragic. It wasn't, about a year ago, Kobe Bryant in that tragedy. So, thankfully it wasn't to that extent, but I think we could be possibly seeing the end of his career. It's going to be very difficult for him to come back.
You got to think his age and all the problems he's had health-wise, throughout his career. This is going to be hard for him to come back from. I think this could be the
nail in the coffin.
The nail in the coffin.
I think so, and it's unfortunate because I know truly. He's done everything in the golf world except beat Jack's record for the majors. So I know I believe he fell 3 short. But we wish him well here at Sports Unfolded. Tiger, get well. Hopefully, again, you can still live a productive life, without any pain. So that's important. Let's go on to our regular scheduled programming. So let's talk. We're going to start off with the NBA. So the NBA actually is kicking off an all-star game on March 7th. And I guess my question would be is why?
A lot of the NBA players are wondering the same thing. Like, it's just wrong, to be honest with you. Like, the players have to go through so many things now with these protocols and stuff like that. Why put them in a position to make it more difficult? So now you're flying people from everywhere trying to get to the All-Star game. For what? So the NBA can make a few bucks?
And think about this. The NBA moved the game. So I guess originally it was going to be in Indiana. They had to move it to Atlanta because for broadcasting reasons and not to have that group to have to travel and do some things because of COVID. I think it's a bad look for the NBA. I think the NBA really needs to smarten up and understand that, look, as fans, we're excited they're playing basketball. We're excited they're back in their home facilities and they're able to.
Why push it? Why push it?
Yeah. And again, who really cares? The All-Star game has been a joke for years. It's more of a festivity, and if you can't do the festivities,
I don't remember the last one I saw.
Yeah, to be honest, so why bother? I'm a little disappointed. Hopefully, the NBA this is the mistake they've made, but obviously, I think it's too far in at this point for them to cancel it. So we'll probably see the All-Star game on March 7th. We'll debate
maybe somebody else will see it. I won't watch it. I won't watch it.
So. The interesting part of the All-Star game that it does include 2 Boston Celtics. So Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have both been named as reserves to the All-Star game. But let's look at the fact that they have fallen to 6th in the Eastern Conference. They're, I believe, 1 game out from 10th and completely being out of the playoffs right now in the loss column.
Right.
We discussed this last week on some of their issues and some of the problems they may be having. But let's look at the fact that they've lost 2 games back to back. One of the games they blew a 24-point lead.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly. It's pretty ugly. And to me, something's got to change. Something has to change. And like we were talking about it, maybe being Brad Stevens. What I want gone right now is Walker. Because I looked at the end of the game last night. Out of all the players, he was laughing and giggling and having a grand old time while every other Celtic walked off pissed off because they lost. Nobody was happy. Kemba Walker was happy, and he was all joking around. That's not what I want to see. That's not what I want to see. I want to see somebody angry that they blew another game. And it seems like every game they create a new way to lose.
So the unfortunate part, I think it's a combination of multiple players and the coach. If you look at Brad Stevens and his nonchalant way of approaching the games, if you're up 24 points and your team is starting to crumble, how do you not make some coaching changes? Kemba Walker, as much as I agree with you, and I would like to see that, I don't think it's possible. I mean, he's injured. He's damaged goods at this point. Right. I think Danny blew that one because obviously there's nobody that's going to want to touch him, knowing that he's not healthy. He's just not going to be able to produce. And if they do want him,
they're going to get him for nothing.
Yeah, we're not going to get anything back in return. Right. So it's not even worth it. I think that we've got to start to look at some of the factors too, that like we had Horford, we had Kyrie, we had Gordon Hayward, and none of these players were able to perform to the level and get us to a championship. We need to start to look at Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and what kind of teammates they are and how they're performing, because yes, they're putting up numbers, but are they making guys around them better? Are they able to make that team a championship contender? Do they have that heart, that drive? I know Jason Tatum's a huge Kobe Bryant fan. Since the days, I believe he got a tattoo on his leg once Kobe passed away.
Right.
But Kobe had heart. Kobe had that killer instinct, that drive to want to win no matter what it took. And he would make guys around him better. He would challenge guys around him better. I don't think Tatum's doing that.
No. And frankly, you know what this team needs? They need a guy like Kevin Garnett to come in and say, hey, look, get your butts in gear. Let's stop playing like we're supposed to be playing, because they don't have that guy right now.
You're right.
And
yes.
That's what this team is missing, because they're soft. Like we said last week, they are soft. And it seems like as every game goes by, they get softer. And there's no drive in this team. There's nobody there to make them accountable. No one.
And I think the amazing part, you discussed Marcus Smart last week and his impact and his toughness, and the probably the only guy on the team. He's been out.
Right.
So he's been out, and you can see that
it's getting worse.
They're struggling because of it.
Yeah.
Not that I think he's the savior by no means,
but
but
those are the kind of guys that I think he needs. And we just had something happen in the studio.
Yep. Everybody's okay.
I think the producer fell off the chair when he saw that we had 1,022 viewers.
Outstanding. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Keep it coming.
That's live.
That is awesome.
Live.
That is awesome.
So I think that's what happened. He was like so excited and giddy.
How great is that? Thank you. Thank
you.
Thank you for the support.
Get that excitement
from the Celtics.
Into the Celtics.
Yes.
It would be great.
Right.
So I don't know what the answers are.
Yeah. I don't
well,
think
the answer is a trade. You have to get something in there.
Is Tatum or is Brown one of those guys that maybe you have to move on from at this point?
I don't know if you have to move on from them, but you need to get somebody in there that can instill that killer instinct. Because right now they don't have it. They're not making that clutch shot, even though last night, I believe it was it Brown that took that shot that actually gave them a lead before Luka
Doncic
ripped them into shreds.
Luka's an outstanding player. But again, they faced Trae Young. Trae Young's gone for 40 and 30 in the last 2 games. They're having trouble stopping superstars. Yeah. They're not able to contain. They're not able to do those pieces. So I just think at this point there's no real answer, and I don't think Danny has an answer, and it's kind of disappointing because I feel like this team is continuously been talked about as one of the top contenders for a championship, and I feel like they're falling further and further away this year.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. Like, you need to get somebody in there, but who do you give up? I mean, it's
and what
one
do
of
you
those
give up?
things.
Yeah,
You know, it's like
it's disappointing.
you
It's
can't
disappointing. As a Celtic fan, it's very disappointing.
because your only two pieces are Tatum and Brown. Like, you could trade Smart, but that would just be making it worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because frankly,
agree
he's their best
100%,
defender,
yes.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you can't get rid of that because you're going to need that for the playoffs. So who do you get rid of? Like,
I you know what? I go back to last season. You know, right after the season, everybody talked about we had 3 draft picks and Danny's going to make some moves and, you know, bundle these picks. And we got absolutely nothing for it. He drafted 3 kids. I think Neesmith is the only one that's actually kind of contributed.
Right.
Pritchard, I mean, we are riding the wave. Everybody believes like, oh, he's the great next white thing. And I don't believe that. I think it's just, again, the kid's playing well. He's not going to carry our team.
to me, you need to trade those two for a piece. That's the only option I can see. I don't want to give up Williams because there's an upside there that I really like, and I think that is a guy that has that attitude.
Yeah, the Time Lord. Yes, I agree.
You know, I don't want to give up that.
Yeah.
But I can deal with the 2 rookies and send them.
So I think there's 5 games left before Smart comes back. We'll have to see how that goes. We'll have to see how the All-Star game goes, and obviously we'll be debating it, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I hope they learn something when they're at the All-Star game. What it's like to be the guy.
The one positive, maybe they can talk to somebody and say, "Hey, you want to come play in Boston?" Maybe somebody
maybe
to come over.
Maybe.
Let's move on to the NHL. Let's talk about some really interesting things that have come up. But first and foremost, the Bruins played the Flyers. They played in Lake Tahoe.
That was phenomenal.
Beautiful scene.
Oh my God.
Phenomenal.
So awesome.
Bruins won 7-3. Looked as dominant as they have all season.
Yes. Pasternak.
How what's your opinion of the Lake Tahoe, the outside?
I absolutely loved Lake Tahoe. That was awesome. And
because they've done a few, right? They've done Fenway. They've done
they've done quite a few of them. So Fenway was pretty cool, you know. But I mean, it's starting to get a little tiresome, you know. But Lake Tahoe is kind of breathtaking. So like, unless you can beat that, then don't do anymore. You know, like I don't care if you go into a stadium. Like I don't care about that.
So think about this. I guess the first game on Saturday actually got postponed 8 hours.
Yes.
Like the NHL didn't factor in like there's going to be a thing called the sun.
Yes.
That could cause some problems. And it was pretty funny watching some of the clips of, the players, the refs, everybody, going over and
patching up the ice.
Yeah. Trying so hard. So I think it's a great thing for the NHL to try to get out there and try to get some additional fans that may
but you can't do like 4 or 5 of them a year. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Like,
have one major game.
Do I care if you're playing at Notre Dame? No, I don't care. It's a stadium.
Yeah.
Woo-wee! Like you're doing it at Lake Tahoe. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Okay. Unless you're going to do something impressive, don't do it.
And I think, like you said, maybe two major teams that are competitors consistently, do a Montreal, Boston, do a one of those rivalry games, and then just have it stage outside. I think you're 100% right on that.
So I don't really care to see any more of those until there's a reason.
Yeah,
you want to do it on Grand Canyon somehow. That's impressive. Okay, you can pull that off.
Levitating rink.
But other than that, put one on the moon, go right ahead. See if you can pull that off. I'd be there, right?
All right, at NHL. Let's see if you can make that happen. The next discussion we were going to talk about, I guess recently we saw an article and it was about Sidney Crosby.
Oh, my God.
And is Sidney Crosby a top 5 NHL player all time? Now, not today. We're not talking about today's game. We're not talking about currently in the NHL, but all time.
I'm not even sure he's even top 5 in the NHL right now.
Today. And I I have to say that after looking at the numbers and analyzing some of the numbers, 56th all time in career goals scored currently,
which is good.
But
like,
I mean,
that's a great player,
55 players ahead of him to call it top 5.
Right. Well, his like I did like extensive research on this. Okay,
this is the breakdown, ladies and gentlemen, that you've been waiting for from Sports Unfolded.
When you say he's top 5, and there was a lot of people that argued with me about this point, top 5 all time. Okay, so when has Sidney Crosby dominated the league? Never. He has only led the league twice in points, and they weren't even consecutive seasons. Twice, which is great, right?
It's a good stat to have.
Gordie Howe, 4 straight years led the league, 6 all total. Bobby Hull, 2 straight years, 3 times led the league in points. Stan Mikita, 2 straight years, twice, 4 overall. And there were 4 out of 5 years. He had 2, missed 1, 2. Esposito, 4 straight years, 5 overall. Like the list goes on.
Yeah.
Bobby Orr as a defenseman, the only defenseman to ever lead the league twice. I mean, come on. Guy Lafleur. I don't like Montreal. Guy Lafleur 3 straight times. That's dominating. Yager, also from Pittsburgh, 4 straight times led the league, 5 overall in points. Sidney Crosby isn't even the second best player
in Pittsburgh.
And arguably not even third, because Malkin has also led the league twice in points.
You have made amazing points.
So you take that, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 players right off the top. Right off the top. So he can't be top 5. Then you throw in 700 goal scorers. Is he going to make 700? No, he's not. Brett Hull, 700 goal scorer. Marcel Dion. Ovechkin, who's still playing, and I don't know how anybody can say Crosby is better than Ovechkin. No. That's a joke. That's laughable. Laughable, because Ovechkin plays tough as well. He's not one of those crybabies that goes in there and gets 700 goals and cries to the referees all the time. No, he'll mix it up with you. And, of course, Mike Gartner, a 700-goal scorer, although I don't think he's better than Crosby.
So what I'm asking for is basically the fans out there. Can anybody challenge Ron's point? Because I don't feel you can. I think you made a legitimate argument as to why he can't be in the top 5.
I didn't even mention goaltenders.
Yeah. So if anyone out there can honestly tell us why they feel Sidney Crosby should be a top 5 player in the NHL all time. We're not talking today's, and even to Ron's point, probably today wouldn't even be considered that as well.
McDavid has also led the league twice, by the way.
So anyone out there, anyone, please write in, phone in, chime in, whatever you got to do.
There's still Mark Messier, Steve Yzerman, Teemu Selanne. I mean, the list goes on. You talk defensemen, Dennis Potvin, Ray Bourque.
It's crazy to think about. The funny thing, as I was analyzing this, is that as I was going through, and I'm not a hockey guy, and I obviously you can tell by the discussion, Ron clearly knows his hockey. But it was the fact that every time I looked at something, all I kept seeing was Wayne Gretzky first. Wayne Gretzky.
Right. Well,
first.
It is.
No, so like when you talk about a dominant player in a sport, and we've talked about Michael Jordan. We could talk about Tiger Woods, Serena Williams. We could talk about all these, Tom Brady. But you're talking about one guy that clearly across the board just dominated the
Wayne
sport.
Gretzky dominated the NHL like no one has dominated. Like no one was even close.
If the NHL was smart at that time, that was their point to probably make that league just take off, because he was that guy.
It was that merge with, I believe it was the WHL or WHA that came into the NHL, and
it's just
Wayne Gretzky.
Holy cow, right?
Like when he came to Boston, I do have to say they played him very well as you can ever play. They had Steve Kasper shadow him Like everywhere Gretzky went on the ice, Steve Casper was there, and he still put up points. You can only stop him for so long.
You can only hope to contain him,
Like
right?
that's domination.
Yeah.
That's just ultimate domination. And Lemieux was about as good as that. You know, he just had injuries.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a goon squad on defense
To protect him,
protect him like Gretzky did.
Yeah.
But outside of the physical part, like nobody's seen the ice like Gretzky. So he's clearly the number one player. And then you have how Bobby Orr and Mario Lemieux put him 2, 3, 4, however you want. However you want. Because
Well, then who's fifth? Is that Crosby?
well,
you just hurt yourself on your right.
no, I would actually go with probably Phil Esposito
Okay.
as number 5.
All right.
And
So
this-
that's our
again,
top. That's Ron's top 5.
Yeah, and again, this does not count goaltenders because if you inject goaltenders, then you got to put, you know, Brodeur, Waugh, Hasek, and Ken Dryden in my book.
So again, I am imploring the fans out there to try to come up with a better argument than the fact that he may not even be in the top 50. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying.
Definitely, I don't think he's in my top 20.
There's a lot of guys as I was going through, and I kept seeing their names
It's just
consistently
incredible.
before his. So let's see. Again, I'm not the hockey guy. Ron is. So if anyone out there thinks they can beat Ron in his argument, let us know.
Or if you want to contribute to the argument
And say, yeah, absolutely.
and say, hey, you forget about this guy.
Yeah, no, definitely. How about this? Who's your top 5 all time? You send those in to us, Rhode Island Broadcasting. Follow us on Facebook. Just write a comment and let us know who you feel are your top 5 NHL players of all time.
You can put it in the comments of the video right now.
Absolutely.
Put it in the comment, and who knows, maybe you'll be recognized, in further shows.
Maybe,
like next week.
maybe they'll make a valid point to actually show that you are incorrect. Wouldn't that be something?
If somebody can prove me wrong, go for it.
Let's see it.
Good luck with that.
Let's see it.
I've been watching hockey a long time.
Couldn't tell. Couldn't tell. Let's move on to the Major League Baseball. Again, spring training has kicked off. We've got a lot of things going on. Reigning World Series champions, the LA Dodgers. So today's we're going to just discuss who could actually beat them. Is there anyone in the MLB right now that you feel would be a contender to beat the LA Dodgers?
Well, you first got to figure out who's got the pitching. I mean, does anybody have that kind of a rotation?
No.
Like,
Okay,
I don't see. Well, let me rephrase that. I can see the Dodgers winning this year fairly easy, but I can also see them choking because we've seen it before, but they have won. So now that could change everything, and they could be a dynasty.
I think they got over the hurdle. I like, Curtin Clayshaw messed that up. I'm sorry. But Clayshaw definitely had his problems and his issues, in the big games, and he definitely overcame that. You're starting to see, again, they've got the bats, they've got the pitching.
Mookie.
But they got Mookie. The funny thing, the odds makers basically the 5. I took the 5 top teams. So the Yankees, Padres, Braves, White Sox, and Mets are all in contention.
I was going to say the Mets because they have a lot of good pieces.
Good young pieces. They're spending money. They're not, they got a new owner, and he's definitely out there to say he's in it to win it. Is basically
if I
how
see
he put
anybody beating the Dodgers, I believe it would be the Mets, at least in the National League. The Yankees, they always seem to have star power.
Yeah, and I think the thing with the Yankees
lineup,
is health. It's injuries.
That's
they've got the pitcher. They finally have an ace in Cole.
Yep.
So
this pains me, by the way.
I know it does. So you think about that. If Stanton and Judge can stay healthy, they have the power bats. They've got a lot of good young talent and a good rotate. A bullpen is one of the best in Major League Baseball. Yeah. I think the issue has been, and it's consistently been, is that they can't stay healthy when they need to.
And that's a shame because that could that could destroy some of those careers that are promising.
Yeah. So
I mean, because like if you look at Judge alone, how many times has he been on the disabled
yeah,
list?
and
He's constantly on there, and I'm not sure he can be productive for 10 years. I'm not sure he's going to make it. But when he's in that lineup,
it's a different ball team.
he's a beast. He's a beast, and it protects everybody. And then you throw Stanton in there, like that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Nobody has that 1-2 punch. Nobody. That's about as good as it gets.
And you can't get
And
them
I
both.
hate to say it,
Yeah.
but I think the Yankees are going to roll over.
And the problem is if they
the
can't, they
American
both
League.
can't stay in the lineup at the same time, which is hurting them. So you can clearly see it. I mean, the Padres are a very interesting team. I mean, they spent a lot of money last offseason.
Yep.
Not last offseason, last season during the pandemic, and made sure they got some players in. And then they just recently signed Tatis to that 14-year deal.
So
And
the problem I see with them is sustaining that pitching. Like, can they get, over that stigma that's been following San Diego for a long time?
Mhm.
Is like we can't win the big games because we're never there.
can their bats compete against LA's pitching? Probably not. And that's where I think again they're still going to fall short.
Yeah.
And then
that's why I said Mets are the only team in the National League that can stop the Dodgers.
The Braves are an interesting team. They every year I keep saying, it's the Braves, but they somehow, they've got good young talent, very good young talent. Acuna, he's a superstar. I think that kid's going to just break some records at some point. And there's no major players that you go, oh, okay, the Braves. But they're always in it. They seem like they always are in contention.
There's also one more factor that we have to take in consideration, and that is COVID.
Yeah.
We don't know how many people are going to be vaccinated by the time baseball starts. And I imagine it's probably not going to be that many, and probably none of the major league players. So who can stay COVID-free, to me, says a lot.
It could impact it, yeah.
Because when you look around the other leagues, you can clearly see some of those teams getting affected by that. So
it's
comes
interesting.
Down to a lot of that. That's a whole nother additive to the season.
I don't think anybody's going to beat them. I don't feel like there's a team unless some moves are made or some injuries happen to them. The one team I did want to discuss real quick, and again, we didn't break it down, but the White Sox signing Tony La Russa as a manager.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. and it took away from the Red Sox, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he was up in that booth.
Yeah.
Like you don't think that he had a lot to do with, some of the successes that the Red Sox had?
Did he tell him which garbage cans that were make the best?
He might have.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Like, wasn't he Mark McGuire's manager?
Let's talk about those Boston Red Sox for a little bit. So,
do we have to?
We don't have to, but I mean, let's. What do fans want to hear? Right now, we're in New England.
Like, what do we got?
So
we have Eduardo.
So Jackie
that's
Bradley
our
Jr.
pitching staff.
Though that's what we're going to discuss is Jackie.
I think you got to bring him back. I think you got to
So-
bring him back because you need to have a good outfield because there's going to be a lot of balls hit out there.
So he batted 283, 54 hits, 22 RBIs. But Verdugo, who's actually was their best hitter, right, had 62 hits, 15 RBIs. So the RBI is a little bit off. But do you take bats away from Verdugo? Do you move Verdugo somewhere else?
No. What I do is I put Jackie center field,
Verdugo goes to left field, maybe where
and then
Benintendi
JD
was.
goes in the right field.
Benintendi used
where
to.
he used to. The ghost of Benintendi hopefully is out there, but that's what I would do. You got to put your best team out on the field.
The interesting thing to me is why hasn't anybody even signed? I know they said there's some teams interested in him, and the discussion is about. I mean, he's a great fielder. Like his glove's amazing.
What I also want to add about Jackie Bradley, like, yes, okay, so maybe he doesn't get a lot of hits, but how many times has he had clutch hits? He's had a lot of those. And I will take the best center fielder in baseball Yes, the best. There's nobody better that plays that outfield. And if he hits 250, I don't care. He's going to be back at the 9th spot in the lineup, and he's going to save you runs.
Which you're going to need with that pitching staff.
You're
So
going to need that because now who else would be their center fielder?
yeah. So I think defensively you're spot on. It's how do you not bring this guy back to at least ensure that piece of it, because you've got enough. I mean, they're not great bats, but you have enough bats where you can. His deficiency hitting possibly makes his defensive, prowess out there in center field definitely makes up for that. So I think Boston, if they're smart, they bring him back. At least, and again, it's a name. I think the fans that are Boston Red Sox fans, they still need some of those names out there.
Absolutely. I mean, they got a good core with, they need like a second baseman and an outfielder. Okay, so if you need an outfielder, you just sign Jackie.
Who's probably the best option right now.
If something else comes along, if somebody comes from the minors that can all of a sudden hit, then you throw them out there and you platoon. I mean, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like, you need somebody that is that good defensively.
And I don't think it's a financial thing. I haven't heard like he's outpricing himself or it's a money thing. So it'll be interesting to see what Boston does with him. If they bring him back, I think it'd be at least a good boost for them from a fan standpoint and getting the fans to at least, buy into it a little bit, they're trying to do.
Fans like the guy.
Hence why they brought back Cora. I truly believe the only reason why they brought back Cora, it's not because I think he's an amazing manager. I think it's that they wanted to make sure the fans felt comfortable.
should have been their manager.
Yeah, and it's been discussed how many times that never happened. All right.
That could happen. Right. That could happen this year.
You think so?
If the Red Sox are in the basement in a huge hole, I think the move is made.
They don't fire Cora this year.
I think they fire him.
No way. All right. So great debates there. Again, thank you for joining us. We are on Rhode Island Broadcasting every Friday night at 6 p.m. We're going on to our next segment. This is called the Pick and Roll. So basically, the pick and roll, what the pick and roll means is that we're going to basically make some picks and then we're going to just roll with it. And hopefully the fans, decide and vote whose list was better and why. So again, make sure you look us up on Facebook, or even right now, as we are live, comment. Let us know whose list you feel made the most sense. So our pick and roll today is the best option for quarterback for the New England Patriots next season. And these are the 6 quarterbacks that basically are realistic chances. We're not going to talk about, Deshaun Watson. We're not going to, go into those high-profile quarterbacks. We're going to go on guys that should be or could be available and is a realistic possibility. So the 6 names that we're going to throw out there are Marcus Mariota, Sam Darnold, Cam Newton, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Mitchell Trubisky. All realistic possibilities for the New England Patriots.
We're sorry, by the way.
Yes. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I can go first. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'll go first and give you the advantage.
So let's go 6-1. So you go from 6 to 1.
So
let's see what you got.
So number 6, I have Ryan Fitzpatrick. To me, that was clear because we played him so many times and we've seen him make 2 or 3 picks in the fourth quarter to lose games. Clear. Boom. Right there. I don't want him. Number 5, I have Cam Newton. We saw what happened last year. I don't want to see that again because I don't think he's going to even be able to make it through a full season. Number 4, I have Trubisky. What you see is what you get. And, I mean, he's average, which is far and away better than Cam and Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I would have liked to actually keep 5 and 6 empty. Marcus Mariota, I put 3rd. I think he's got a shot. Like, he showed some flashes in his first couple of years and then, just disappeared.
Okay.
I think maybe you take a chance on him with Belichick because he'll use him to his ability, and I think that's what will make him better. Sam Darnold, I put him at number 2 because he's the only one that I feel that can be an NFL quarterback full time. And then 1, I have Jimmy G.
Jimmy G.
Because that was
1.
Belichick's guy.
Okay.
And I think he wants Jimmy G.
Okay. All right. Real quick, we want to do a shout out to fans out there that are watching. So we wanted to just say hi out there. We got a few fans that have said hi to us, so we want to thank you for that. Appreciate you watching.
What was the guy's name? Tom? Was it Tom?
Tom Arcane.
Tom Arcane?
Yes.
Tom, thank you so much for watching the show. Hope you're enjoying it. Let us know what you think. Let us know who wins these debates. Let us know who won the pick and roll, because I feel like I'm going to
Jimmy G.
definitely amaze some people here on that one. So in 6-1, I'm going to go. The only thing we had.
Oh, here you go, Eric. Tom Arcane.
Sam Donald, number 1. All right, Tom.
I had him number 2, so.
All right. I'm gonna see. Let's see. I don't I disagree with both of you, but I had Ryan Fitzpatrick, so I agree. I think that's the only one we matched on. I think
I think I would be a better fit for the Patriots, to be honest with you.
He's been around 16 years. He's had a winning
I think
his
I'm
record,
younger.
His record 59, 86 and 1. 16 years in the league. I'm not even going there. My number 5 was Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo. And the reason why number 5 is that he's played 33 games in 4 years in San Francisco. Right. I think he had 1 full season in the 4 where he played 16. Yep. He's played 6 and 3, I believe, somewhere in that range. Just inconsistent with his injuries. I don't think bringing him in or back, yes, he knows the system. Yes, the terminology, everything would be simple. But then at the same time, we also got to wonder about who's your backup, because you're going to need one. Number 4, Sam Darnold. I think, and again, I agree with you. I think with the right coaching possibility, he could be better. He's got NFL arm strength, and he could be a talent. But I just feel like there's too much in there where, yes, the Jets were a train wreck. Every year he was there, but to not win more games, it's a little discouraging. Usually a quarterback can pull something out of it.
You have to brainwash him, whatever he learned in New York.
Yeah, definitely. Adam Gase, whatever he did to him, the kid just, didn't perform as well as I thought he would have. Number 3, I had Mitchell Trubisky, and this one surprised me. I didn't realize he was 29 and 21 so far, and he's been in the league 4 years. 64 touchdowns, 37 interceptions. So he's definitely got some talent. Like, there's talent there.
Right.
I think Chicago had some talent around him, which helped. But I feel like here's an opportunity where, again, right situation, right coach, there's a good chance that
I would not be upset if they went out and got him.
And I think there's too much untapped talent there to say he's done. He's put up some decent numbers. Number 2, I had Marcus Mariota. And his career record 29 and 32.
That leaves one tragic name.
77 touchdowns, 45 interceptions. And I think, to your point, Bill could probably use him in ways that maybe others haven't.
Yeah. That's what Bill does. He puts those players in a position to perform. So he's going to use all his assets. And that's why that Marcus Mariota, I think, to me, is
so. I'll agree with you. If Trubisky or Mariota are in New England, I'm okay with it. At least I see there's young talent potential.
Mm-hmm.
My number 1, yes, is Cam Newton, and it's for 2 reasons.
And I know the
few reasons. You said, we discussed it last week.
Yeah,
he's also won 75 games in the NFL. He has a history. I still feel like there's still some talent there, and I feel like we need to spend that money. And we saw him come in and say he's struggling with terminology. All these other guys are going to have the same issue. All these other guys are going to be coming in. At least we know what he already knows and what he has and what he can do. And remember, he went 7-9 with a bad Patriot team. Really? A bad Patriot team. If we can get some talent around him, that team quickly turns around to be a 10-6, 11-5 team. That's my picks. Tom, Sam Darnold, Ron, you had Marcus Mariota.
I get it.
Cam Newton, right? Mariota?
No, I had Jimmy G
Jimmy
at
G.
number 1.
Yes, I apologize. Jimmy G.
And again, with Jimmy G and Cam Newton, you have to worry about that injury
Yes.
thing.
And more so Jimmy G.
And
I'm sorry, but 33 games in, 4 years. That's 64 games that he had a potential to play in.
Believe me,
He
I
missed
see that.
almost
I
half
see
of
that.
them. Half.
But out of all these players, I think Jimmy G has the best upside. If you can keep him healthy, and again, that is a big
the
if.
problem is he's always sitting on his backside because he's on the bench.
Well, I'm just saying he has the biggest upside out of all those guys on that list.
So that's our pick and roll. So what we're going to ask the fans to do basically is, if you're watching live, right, chime in, let us know,
And a lot
who
of
you
people
feel.
are watching us live.
So yes, thank you so much for all the viewers right now. But we also want to make sure that you let us know who won. Is Tom correct? Did Tom, pick it right? Should it be Sam Darnold? Should it be Jimmy G? Or should it be Cam Newton? Let us know. We appreciate the feedback. Again, it's great for our fans to be able to debate with us. You can also watch us every Friday at 6 p.m. on Rhode Island Broadcasting. So that's going to be amazing as well. But we are doing this live feed today just to see how it goes and see if it's something that we can continue to do. So appreciate it.
And we got to give a shout out to the producer,
Yes.
Kelvin Sign.
Yes, thank you so much. All his hard work. He is amazing and the amazing things he does. And if you like that audio track at the beginning of the show, all him.
Yeah,
that was great.
That was really nice.
That was
too.
amazing. So thank you for that. Let's move on to the NFL. First topic for debate is which quarterback will have a greater success with his new team. So obviously there's been a few moves. We have Carson Wentz, who went to the Colts, Matthew Stafford, who went to the Rams, and Jared Goff, who went to the Lions. So out of those 3 quarterbacks, which one do you think will have the least success?
Probably Goff.
I can't even argue with you.
Like,
as much as I want
what
to,
has he
I
got
can't.
to work with?
Nothing. Dan
It's
Campbell.
Detroit.
I don't know if anybody remembers Dan Campbell. He was like an interim coach in Miami for the guy's just a buffoon. And I'm not afraid to say it. Again, we said last week, we hold no punches.
That's right.
His press conference about people knocking them down and they'll get back up and punch them again. And they're just going to keep coming at you. I don't know how that inspires anybody.
No, because they're going to just keep getting hit.
Yeah, and get knocked out.
Pounded and get stepped on.
Yes, I have to agree. I think Goff is definitely in such a bad situation. I feel bad because he went from a really good situation to probably one of the worst in the NFL. But,
right.
They've got some talent. But then the funny thing, I started looking at his wide receivers. He's got Sanu and Amendola. Do they scare you? Adrian Peterson's his running back. I mean, he's well past his prime. I mean, the best player is Galladay.
Well, so is Amendola past his prime.
So I just don't see how he succeeds. So who would be that middle guy that you feel?
Well, ultimately, I think. That's so tough.
It was
because I think they're both in a good situation.
Exactly.
Because I think the Colts and the Rams both can win now.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Rams, their defense is just sweet. I would
number one defense in the NFL.
Defense.
Number one defense in the NFL.
Yeah, I would love to have that defense.
One of probably the best corner in the league right now in Ramsey, and Donald, who's the best defensive lineman in the league. So
I think, in my opinion, he's the best defensive player.
Yes.
I would love him to be in New England.
And I think the way I looked at it was this. I think Stafford has a little more weapons, like Robert Woods. He's got Kupp, Akers, who had a really good year at running back. He's got a lot more to work with on offense. T.Y. Hilton is in Indianapolis, and he's a very good wide receiver. They had Hines, who had a good year at running back.
Like I said, I think the Rams defense alone doesn't even matter what they had on offense. I think the Rams can contend to make the playoffs and maybe make the Super Bowl with Stafford in place.
Yeah. So I think the one
Colts,
knock would be
I don't see them being able to make the Super Bowl because they have. I mean, you have to get by Kansas City, and
so I looked at it this way. One of the biggest issues we once had was their offensive line in Philadelphia was atrocious. They basically, I mean, he's running for his life, didn't have time. Indianapolis only allowed 21 sacks all season. Frank Wright his former offensive coordinator. Like, this is a good situation for him. They're young. Their defense is very good as well. I think they were top 10 in defense.
Yeah.
So I honestly think Indianapolis,
they need another piece on offense.
But
if they get that one piece,
they get a good tight end, a solid tight end, or another top wide receiver. I feel like Indianapolis might be the team to beat.
If they get that piece on offense, if they can get that one piece on offense, I think they could actually beat Kansas City. But they got to get that piece. Without that piece, they're too one-dimensional. And again, I mean, is Wentz kind of like gun shy? You know, I mean,
but has Stafford won anything?
We've seen it.
What has Stafford won in the past? Absolutely nothing. And he's he's actually worse against good teams. Anybody over 500, his record, and I don't have it in front of me, but he's not a very good quarterback. I get that,
but I mean, when you're in Detroit, I mean, a lot of that is coaching.
Yeah, it could be.
A lot of that was coaching because I've seen him make those comebacks in the third quarter. He's a big guy. He has a cannon, and to be honest, I think he's pretty accurate. I think he's got all those tools to be a good, quarterback to lead a team, but you have to have all those things in place. I'm going to compare him to a New England quarterback, Drew Bledsoe. Okay? Think about this. When Drew Bledsoe had a line, he was unstoppable. The minute that line is not there, he was awful because you had those happy feet and you're just like trying to panic.
And he wasn't a good dancer.
No. So I think Stafford is probably as close to Bledsoe as any quarterback. And I think ultimately they don't make a Super Bowl because you have to have that. You have to be on your toes all the time on that line. If that line does not protect, if that line breaks down, it's over.
Definitely.
It's over.
Definitely. Seeing that you mentioned the Patriots, let's cover real quick. Ron decided to sport a Stephon Gilmore jersey today on the show. And today we're going to debate.
It's my message to the Kraft family. Patriots. You better make sure this guy is there.
So so our discussion is going to be based on should the New England Patriots move on from Stephon Gilmore. Ron obviously feels like they shouldn't.
Nope.
I'm going to tell you why they should. So he had one interception last season, 3 pass defenses, played in 11 games. So obviously some injuries. Obviously, we can say that a lot of teams didn't want to challenge him. He was a defensive player of the year prior season. So, the numbers could be
a little
swayed based on the fact that he wasn't thrown to a lot.
Right.
J.C. Jackson, I believe, had, 7 picks, which was amazing. So basically what I was looking at is this. He probably has the highest value right now for them that they possibly could get. They've discussed a 2nd-round draft pick. One more season with Stephon Gilmore, even if you try to sign him any longer, extend it out, I feel like you're not going to get nearly that value.
Here's the thing that I think. How much money do they have left on their cap?
$63 million currently.
Okay.
He's not playing for what he's getting paid for this season. That's for sure. They got to sign him.
If you have that much, why would you do that? Like, to me, that's a no-brainer. Okay, you keep him and you build on that on your defense. Okay, you have $63 million to spend. Outside of you getting a quarterback for him, you don't trade him because they're going to need him. Because look at the division. It's getting tougher. Okay, it's getting tougher. Buffalo is no joke.
I agree.
Miami's on the rise. This is not a time to get rid of a corner that is an all-star caliber corner.
Aging corner who obviously there's not an upside anymore. So if you can get a young player high in the 2nd round, it's a better opportunity. Let us know who you feel when that, because Ron, obviously, we already know. We already know where he's going.
Too much money to have on your cap.
Let's discuss one other thing. I want to bring up a topic real quick, and I'll make this a short before we go into face-off. But currently today, would you say Tom Brady should be in the Hall of Fame? I'm just asking a question. Just answer the question.
Of course.
You sure?
Tom Brady
Yes.
should be in the Hall of
Yeah.
Fame. Yes.
Because I remember last week, if anybody watched last week's argument, Ron argued that any cheaters should not be in the Hall of Fame. Tom Brady, I believe, in 2016 was serving
What, the
a four-game.
The Deflategate?
Was he a cheater?
Really?
Did he cheat?
No, he
No,
did not
he
cheat.
didn't.
Even if
Did
that
Barry
was a case.
Was Barry Bonds ever suspended?
No,
Why? If he cheated.
because baseball doesn't want that.
So clearly I won that argument last week. If you didn't vote, I just solidified it. That
Wow.
if you want a cheater in the Hall of Fame in one sport, it works for both
that
sports.
wasn't the question of whether.
I think I
wasn't
would.
the question.
Let's go on to our face-off. I told you I was going to hit you with something hard
That's
today,
okay.
Ron.
That's all right.
So this week's face-off, I hope you bring a little better argument because don't let me look into these holes. Okay, don't leave me opportunities. I'll take advantage.
Yeah. Speaking of holes,
This. Well then, clearly he knows I won that argument. That's what that comment was about.
no.
So, who was more important to the Patriots during their championship run? Would that be Tom Brady or Bill Belichick? So, I believe we did have somebody chime in. Kale, do we have anybody chime in on who they wanted to have debate which topic? Okay, me for Bill Belichick and you for Tom Brady. I believe I went last week, so I'll go first this week if that works for you.
That's fine.
Make it a little easier so you can try to put holes in my theories.
I won't have to put holes in that theory.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, let's see. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Go.
All right. So we always talk about the two of them together, but if you look at what Bill's built, it's not just about having one player. Yes, he probably had the greatest quarterback of all time, but ultimately the team he builds around him, the coaching that goes into making that team better. They say football is probably the one sport where you need all 11 guys that are on that field doing the right thing at the right time. He was the orchestrator of that. He was the reason why they made those plays. He made some of those close decisions and calls to make sure that we won those championship games and those Super Bowls. Tom performed, but he performed what he was coached on. So to me, ultimately, if you look at who is more important, who's more vital, Bill Belichick obviously made Tom Brady who Tom Brady is today. Tom Brady was coached by Bill Belichick, taught by Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick put players around him to make him better. Ultimately, he's the biggest reason why they won all those championships that many times.
It's time, but I can give you another 20 minutes if you want.
You gave me a minute. I'll give you a minute. How's that? Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Go.
Okay, so yes, Belichick did have to make a lot of calls, but how many times throughout the career of Tom Brady in New England did he change the play at the line, make all the decisions out there, and get the job done? That was a lot. There was a lot of plays that he audibled on the line at the moment and made it happen. Okay, 6 Super Bowls in New England. He leaves, and what happens? The Patriots go in the toilet, and Brady wins another Super Bowl. To me, that's clear. That is clear-cut. Brady was more important. Yes, Bill Belichick had a lot to do with the team, but Brady got it done. And then he got it done after Bill Belichick. After the fact that he goes to another team. And it doesn't matter how good the team was.
All right. Well, that was our face-off. We've got a lot of live viewers out there. So if you're watching right now, if you want to chime in, let us know who you believe won that face-off. If you're watching us on Rhode Island Broadcasting on Friday nights at 6 p.m., you can also comment on the video and let us know who you feel won. We do ask for suggestions for next week and who you'd like to debate that topic for you. Clearly, if you want to win, you pick me to debate those topics. But that's obviously, any fan participation that we can get would be phenomenal.
Right here. Chris from Twitch said, "Ron, there we go. Thank you,
Ron
Chris.
is the reason.
You are now my number one fan."
Ron,
Chris, thank you.
Chris, let me just ask you this question: who taught Tom Brady everything he knows? That would be Bill Belichick. So yes,
wouldn't that be like his high school coach?
I win again. So let's move on. We're going to do our predictions for this upcoming week. So the show does air on Friday nights at 6 p.m. every Friday night on Rhode Island Broadcasting. A little shout out there. But let's make sure that so we've predicted some of the big games for the upcoming week, and then we will discuss them next week. So first, 2 NBA games basically would be the Clippers at the Bucks. That's on February 28th at 3:30. Who do you got?
I get the Bucks.
Okay, I got the Clippers. So we'll see how that turns out. What about the Jazz at the 76ers?
I went with the Jazz. They're just tearing it up right now.
The Jazz are the best record in the NBA.
It's not even close. Either.
But I'm going to go 76ers, and the only reason why I just think Doc's got that team turned around, and I also feel like again Philly plays really well at home, and it's a home game, and I think they got something to prove. So we'll see how that turns out. NHL. We got Toronto at Edmonton. So basically, I picked the 1-2s in both these games. So it's a very important game for the 4 teams that we picked. But Toronto at Edmonton on the 27th. It's going to be a high scoring game.
I think so too.
I saw the points for, and I mean these teams are just putting it in the net.
Well, I got Edmonton, and I'm going to go further and saying McDavid's going to get a hat trick in that game.
All right, now he's just showing off. See, that's his hockey. This is the hockey guy. I'm going Toronto. I just feel like so far we're opposite on all these.
We don't have the same opinion at
all. What about Washington at Boston? That's on March 3rd.
That's an interesting game. I mean, they got Ovi on that, but I'm not going against Boston right now. There's no way I'm going against Boston.
We finally agree on something, Ron. Finally.
You know, I mean, pasta.
I think the 7-3, Lake Tahoe game. I mean, showed that they're hitting their peak now, and that's good. So,
and that was without Krejci.
Yeah. Without Krejci. I mean, I know they got a few injuries, but I think that'll be pretty interesting. First and foremost, we want to thank all our fans again for everything that we've done today with the live broadcast. It's been fun. We've gotten over 1,500 live views that we know of. 16.
Oh, wow.
100 live views. So thank you so much to the fans out there.
I want to give a shout out to Two Guys, Toys and More. They've been a big, huge sponsor for Rhode Island Broadcasting. So I want to give them a shout out. So you get on, go see Two Guys, Toys and More .etsy.com. Get some retro games,
Right, definitely into the retros games.
Can pick up some Tecmo Bowl from them.
NHL, the old NHL games were phenomenal back in our day. We used to play the Sega. We had some fun. We had some battles. No, really good stuff. Again, you can watch us every Friday night at 6 p.m. new time, 6 p.m. On Rhode Island Broadcasting. So we're excited about that. Excited about going live.
Show now.
Right. So we got live. We've got fan participation. So Chris and Tom, thank you again for your comments. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching. It's been amazing today. Hey, not as many mess ups as I thought we would have, huh?
No, it was good.
That's pretty good. Other than our producer,
I think this is a good show.
Falling off his chair with the excitement of how many views we were getting. I mean, I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we did pretty good. But normally how we close out the show, we do a final thought. No, our final thought doesn't necessarily have to be about sports. It could be about anything that's going on in the world today. It could be about sports. But again, I believe you finished us off last week. So I will start us. I'll finish us off this. No, it was vice versa. So I'll start today with the final thought. And then we'll go to Ron. I'll let you finish us off tonight.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. See, I said we didn't mess anything up. There it was, my first.
Now I can think of one.
So I just wanted to basically talk about what we've seen recently. So with the Tiger Woods situation and some of the great athletes that we've had the privilege of watching. So recently at the Australian Open, Serena Williams, she lost in the semifinals. And just the sheer emotion of when these reporters were asking her about, retirement and what's next for her in her life. And you think about how much time these athletes devote to that sport and how much they put their bodies through, their minds through to be that good. And it's sometimes hard to watch when you know that they know that they're at the down, peak of their career. So it's just as fans, it's always nice, and thank you for all you do to make us want to watch and do these kind of shows, because sports is the reason why we're doing this. It's because it's exciting. It's because it's something that gets your blood boiling. It's something you can escape from for a little bit. And these athletes have given a lot of time. And I always hate the argument when you say, think about how much money they've made and how much they've done, but think about what they've given you as well. All those smiles, all those times, all those sadness and everything in between. When their careers are over, they have a tough void to fill. It's not like me and you, where we go to our 9 to 5s and are able to just, punch a clock and continue to go. They don't have that same outlet. So think about that every time you make that comment about, how much money they make, because their careers are short sometimes. And unfortunately, it's hard for them to battle through it afterwards. So thank you, Serena. I wish you well as well, whatever you decide to do. Ron.
It's well said. Mine is kind of similar to that. Not necessarily of being on the downside of careers, but we said a lot about Sidney Crosby today, and what it comes down to are fans' opinions. Okay, you, the fans, could like whoever you want as a player. That's your right. And whatever that player brings to you to make you feel better about sports, that's all that needs to be said. My favorite player growing up was Terry O'Reilly, Boston Bruins. He was like the guy. He was not, a superstar. He was the guy that instilled the heart and soul of the Bruins back, especially in the 80s and late 70s. So it doesn't matter what a player brings to you, as long as it brings the enjoyment of the game to you. And that's what makes sports great. So when you're sitting there at the Super Bowl or playoffs of like the Stanley Cup playoffs and you're rooting your favorite player on, that's what makes sports great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great point, Ron. So once again, we want to thank all the viewers today that watched us live, all the viewers that hopefully will watch us Friday night at 6 p.m. on Rhode Island Broadcasting. It has been a pleasure to debate you today, even though, again, I'm going to be 2-0 after this week.
Well, clearly not.
We'll see. We've got to figure out where Chris is from. But Chris, Tom, again, thank you for the participation. Thank you for all the viewers, over 1,600 views live today. Let us know how we did. Please, comment on our page on Rhode Island Broadcasting when it does air. Share it. Do it. Do everything you can for us. Let us know that you're enjoying the show. Let us know what topics you want us to cover. But once again, we are going to thank you for watching Sports Unfolded, episode 2, and you all have a great night.
Take care.